Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun, and this is a special House of the Dragon Season 2 video that is all about Daemon Targaryen,
The internet's boyfriend.
my guy. Okay, I don't know if I want to say he's my guy anymore based on what happened at the start of this season, but I love Matt Smith. I
Yes.
really enjoy watching Daemon, but here is the big question, and this is going to be, I think, a fun thing for everyone out there to discuss as we go into this as well. Is Daemon a hero or a villain? Is this fully dependent on whether you are Team Green or Team Black? I actually think it's a little bit more complicated than that.
I think it is for a lot of the fan base. I think he's a really complicated character. I personally I'm Team Green, but I don't think that Damon is all bad or all good. What
Yeah,
he did to Jaehaerys, all bad. Nothing great about that.
yeah.
However, I think he is a complicated guy. I think he was trying to find a way to help Rhaenyra get through her grief and try to get some sort of revenge on this. I don't think he's not all bad, I don't think. But you guys let us know in the comments. Hero, villain, complicated.
Yeah, we're gonna present a lot of the evidence all across the board here. I will try at times to take off my Team Black fanboy hat here because I know that Daemon has done some bad things. I'm not gonna sit here and champion Daemon's awful impulses,
Mhm.
but we will get into it. Before we do though, hit that subscribe button. We have reviews of House of the Dragon,
Yes.
previews, all sorts of good stuff here all season long. We don't want you guys to miss any of that.
And you can also join our Patreon. It's a great way to help support us so that we can continue to bring these videos to you guys. And thank you so much to everyone who has joined. It really helps us.
It does. Okay.
Okay, let's start with villain because I'm Team Green. So
All
let's
right.
talk.
All right.
We'll sort of break it up into these lists. We'll talk about some of the things that makes him a villain. Let's talk about him killing his wife. That wasn't great.
See, okay, there are a very small list of things here throughout this video that I will try to come up with a counter argument for. I cannot justify this. There is no counter argument for this. This is just pure bad. You killed your wife. I don't have anything else I can say about it.
It's been actually really fun to watch both Team Green and Team Black excuse away everything on their teams.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people excusing away so much that Damon has done. And this is one of them where it's like, well, she wasn't all that great, or well, he
Yeah.
really needed to get out of it, or well, what it's been really fun to see that happen.
Yeah, this was just something that was very quick for him. It didn't seem like there was any remorse whatsoever. Like we've
No,
seen him have regrets over some other things even this season, but we've not really seen him have a lot of regrets over this. His moral
yeah.
compass, let's just say it is a little bit askew, if not a lot askew.
Yeah, let's talk about Jaehaerys, which is something that he has had regret about. That's why, for me, he is a complicated guy.
Yeah.
Like, he did think he was doing the right thing. Yes, he paid Blood and Cheese to go and kill Aemond, but they ended up killing Jaehaerys instead. And we saw in this past episode him being haunted by that this has happened, and that, it's still his responsibility for it though. And I know he was trying to sit at the table being basically like, that wasn't what I paid them to go do, kind of thing. But it's still like, okay, fine, but you're still responsible. You still paid them. You
Yeah.
paid killers to go in there and kill somebody. Like, them deciding to kill Jaehaerys instead because they couldn't find Aemon is still your responsibility.
Mhm.
And it's the same as, like, Rhaenyra feeling that Aemond is responsible for killing Luke, even though it was an accident, and even though both boys' dragons were out of control, he's still responsible. It's still part of it. So Daemon doesn't get to backstep and be like, oh, well, I only paid these guys to go in and kill somebody, but like, hey, I didn't tell them to do this, so I'm not responsible. No, you're still responsible.
See, this act is villainous. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not, but I will say it is also rather different than what happened with Damon and his wife, whereas that was just something that just felt so, um, yeah,
Purposeful.
purposeful, cold-blooded, intentional, direct. This is a situation where, yes, Damon, for starters, did not want Jaehaerys dead. Like he said, he had a different target in mind. And it was a target that was being done through the lens of this larger conflict that was going on
I
where,
understand, but Eamon's still a kid too. Like he's like 16 years
yeah,
old.
like it's not great. Like that's the thing here. That part of it is not great, but the other part of it that's not great that contributes to the villain argument here is that Damon is effectively going against what is supposed to be one of his greatest causes, which is supporting his family, supporting his
Mhm.
name, supporting the person who is the rightful heir to the throne, because he didn't talk to Rhaenyra about any of this. He went rogue, and this is one of the biggest villain arguments that I could have when it comes to Damon. And the thing I get the most frustrated about is that he is so impulsive and he is also so unwilling to show empathy or recognize that where he actually is in the world. Like he's so hung up on this idea that, should he have been king? Should he have more power now? He's letting his ego get in the way. Like this doesn't necessarily make him a pure villain. I think he's flawed. A lot of us get flawed that way when we don't understand, what our purpose in life should be, or we let our
Mhm.
ego get involved in big decisions. But the fact that he's doing all this at such an elevated position and the consequences are so great, he may not recognize or acknowledge he's a villain, but for a lot of us, it's still easy to do that.
Okay, let's talk about his finessing Rhaenyra as a very young person and
Uh.
turning this into some situation where he ends up married to her. He's considerably older than her, and she was very young when a lot of this started. I mean, she was underage when a lot of this
Yeah,
started. And so that's not great. I mean, yes, that is a thing in this world. We're
yeah,
not going to pretend that it's not. We saw, Viserys married Allison. She's just 14 years old.
yeah.
Like this is absolutely something that happens at this time. But we do know that Damon wants to be on the throne and he is somebody, how is he going to make that happen? This is something Rhaenyra's brought up too. Did you do all this so that you could get yourself as close to the throne as possible? Like, was I just a tool in your journey here?
It kind of comes down to the question to me of how much thought and care was put into the other person who's involved here, because this is obviously really delicate stuff to talk about. Like you said, this is a part of this extended Game of Thrones universe where women unfortunately at times are married off really really young, but it
Mhm.
seems like with Viserys there was at least some element of thought put into things with Alicent because they had some sort of pre-existing dynamic, and I don't think he wanted to be terrible about it by any means, but there's some stuff.
He at least said no to the 12
Yeah,
year
like
old.
that's the thing. Damon did
Oh my
not say
God.
no to that. There are multiple things about Damon in this situation that just have to give you the ick on so many different levels with how he went about it, what his motivations were, how much consideration he put into some of the other people, and how he even feels about them after the fact. Because he hasn't exactly spent a lot of time feeling sad about Lena. I mean, this guy's history with, people he has been in past relationships with is not great. And this brings me to one of my biggest villain arguments. And one of the things about Damon I find the most unlikable is just how he has treated Rhaenyra and
Mm.
that physical situation that happened at the end of
Yep.
last season.
Yep.
We saw an echo of that this season. I don't think this has necessarily gone away, by the way. I just think that Rhaenyra's had other things going on. So she hasn't really been able to think or process it. I think it may be a factor to why she has sent him off at this point anyway. It gives her more time to process and think about things.
Yeah, I haven't liked how physical he's been with her. That hasn't been great. I mean, let's also talk about Rhaenyra, where she was giving birth to their child that did not make it, and
Mm.
he was nowhere to be found while she was screaming his name. I felt so bad for her.
This is all what makes it very hard to look at Damon as this pure white knight heroic figure. When the chips fall, I don't think that he is that. I think he is a guy who is capable of doing heroic things, but I don't think he is a savior. I don't think he's somebody who Rhaenyra can ever put out there on a pedestal as someone the people of Westeros should follow. I think he is, at best, a second banana, somebody who you can have in your corner, who can be loyal at
Hmm.
times,
Hmm.
but you never fully want to trust him. Like the best moments of Daemon, the most heroic moment to me of the entire show is back in season 1 where he brings Viserys to the throne, and like that whole sequence with Matt Smith was some of the best work he's ever done. And I really did feel like, look how loyal you are, Daemon. I loved him so much in that moment.
Yeah, let's get into the hero stuff because we've gotten into all the villain
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, there is also just that he doesn't really have a lot of empathy and sort of expects everyone to like handle things like he does. Like
Yeah.
when he was getting angry that Rhaenyra wasn't getting over Luke's death fast enough. But that's not really a villain thing. That's just
Mhm.
people handling things in different ways, and everybody handles death in different ways. If
Yeah.
you're new to the channel, I'm a former funeral director. I've seen the gamut of people handling death in all kinds of different ways. People take longer, other people get over it quicker, other people are angry about it. You're going to handle your death
Mhm.
the way you're going to handle your death. But that moment with his loyalty to Viserys and helping him up to the throne and the crown on his head. Oh my goodness. It was his loyalty to his family is what makes him a hero of this family. Like he was loyal to his brother. I mean, even that talk with Corlys where they were kind of like talking crap about the king a little bit,
Mhm.
where all of a sudden, Damon was like, I can because he's my brother. You can't.
Mhm.
He's your king. Don't. I was like, yes, yes. He is so loyal.
Yeah, I think there are certain times where Damon has good intentions for certain things, even if his execution of them is often very, very terrible. Like I think right
Mhm.
now, even his he's still dealing with some frustration here when it comes to not being the king, not having that sort of power. But I think in his heart of hearts, he knows that Rhaenyra should be queen. He should be doing whatever it is to support her. He just he convinces himself that what he's doing is right and he's
Mhm.
doing the thing that's going to achieve that end goal. He just the way in which he goes about it is often really, really terrible. But this is somebody who can be very loyal. This is somebody who can do very heroic things, especially in the battlefield. Like he has no
Yes.
problem doing some of that, like what we saw with them in season 1. It was awesome. It was also not really what was planned, but it was awesome.
No, he just needed that motivation. And once he heard his brother was coming in there to clean it all up, he
Yeah.
was like, nope. And he went in and he won that battle against the crab feeder. It was so heroic.
Yeah, like he can find a way to garner support among a lot of common people in a way that other characters just frankly can't, because I think he is good at sort of bringing himself on the level of a lot of other people, where as long as you support the same things that he does, he's not going to be as condescending to you as a lot of the other people who are high up on the Westeros food chain at the moment.
Absolutely. The other thing that I do really like about him, and I know that we talked a little bit this in the villain category as well, which is why I just think he's a complicated guy, where, he does want to be on the throne. And, did he end up with Rhaenyra to get close to the throne? Or in the hero category, he's been really loyal to her.
Mhm.
He doesn't go about things always the way she wants him to, but everything feels very intentional in a way to secure her spot on the throne. Like we saw her have that sort of conversation with him before where she was like, are you loyal to me? Do you think that, I'm the queen? And yeah, he does.
I think that he does care a lot about Rhaenyra. I think he does want to protect her. I think he does care about his children to some degree. I'm not going to sit here and
Yeah.
pretend like he is the father of the year or anything. He just takes off for long periods of time, doesn't tell anyone where he's going. But we have seen so many terrible parents in the extended Game of Thrones universe
Yes.
that almost by comparison here, Damon looks okay? Question mark.
Like when we saw Vayman in the court where, he was talking all his crap about Rhaenyra's children and trying to claim his own sort of stake here. We saw Damon just not having it, just cut him in half. And I was just like, this man truly cares about his family, his family's reputation. Nobody's going to come into their house and speak that way about Rhaenyra. I think that's something that the audience really is holding on to, and why he's the internet's boyfriend, besides the fact that it is Matt Smith. And he's so charming, and
Yeah.
he's just wonderful to watch on any show that he's on. He's wonderful to watch in interviews. People just love him.
Yeah.
That, I think, that also helps to why everybody's willing to defend some of the things that he's done, because Matt Smith is just amazing. But him coming in, like, in these times to, cut him in half and be like, you can't come into our house and speak this way about our family, is one of the reasons I think people really hold him so high.
It is true, and it's kind of crazy that actor affection can go a long way in a lot of
For
these
sure.
roles. Like, you look at somebody, similar to Sir Kristen, who everybody on the internet hates. He's not played by an actor who we have that sort of long-term relationship with. But Matt Smith, he's a former doctor, and for a lot of Doctor Who fans, the first doctor who you end up watching kind of becomes your doctor, and you have this lifelong bond with them. And Matt Smith was my first doctor. And so I'm always going to hold on closely to Matt Smith, even if Damon
Yeah.
is not a super likable guy all the time. I will say this, projecting a little bit forward, we have not read the source material, so we don't know where this is going.
Hmm.
I think Damon is going to die before the end of this show, but I think he will die a hero. I think he's going to have a heroic death where he knows he's going to go. He's going to fly in there with his dragon. He's going to do something to either save Rhaenyra, save the people he cares about. We will not leave House of the Dragon feeling bad about Damon's demise, even if we do feel bad about some of the stuff along the way.
And will it be at Harrenhal, like it was said in this last episode? Is that actually where he's destined to die? I don't know. But I do think that he's going to go out saving Rhaenyra, doing something for the family, because if nothing else, like, he hasn't, of course, been perfect by any
Yeah.
means to the family, but he is loyal to his family.
He is, and it matters a great, great deal to him. And this is a fun thing to discuss. It's a fun thing to discuss with a lot of House of the Dragon characters, because there are people who are mostly pure evil. There are people who I
Yes.
think we can consider to be mostly pure good, but I think the majority of characters on House of the Dragon sort of fall within this gray area, and we are meant to sit back and kind of question what is going on. Do we like them? Do we want to send them into the moon door? Like, where do we put them?
Yeah, so Kristen can go into the moon door.
Yeah, so he should have already been in the moon door, if
Yeah.
we're being really honest here.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that is our discussion here on Daemon Targaryen, hero or villain. Like we said at the start, let us know in the comments. We love sort of breaking this stuff down. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything else.
Yes.
And also join us on Patreon. We have a link in the description below. That is a great way to help support us further. Thank you to our patrons.
you.
We'll see you here next time.